Well, I was working for my father, Freeman Construction Company, which was started by my grandfather in 1946. And my father in 1981 was president of Freeman Construction Company, so he was second generation in the business, and I was third generation in the business. And I worked there from 1981 to 1992. And my father's focus on business was a little different than Freeman Building Systems. His focus was public bid projects where you would get a set of drawings, put together a price, and if you were the low bidder, you got the work. And as a estimator and project manager for Freeman Construction Company, I was never the low bidder. It was actually quite frustrating that I wasn't finding any success. One time, a friend of my father's called him and said, "Hey, we need a warehouse and we're going to do a design build." And my father said, "Well, I really don't want to pursue it if you don't have drawings." So I talked my father into letting me put together a set of drawings and go out for pricing and prepare a proposal. So I remember sitting in the meeting with that owner, and my father's name was Howard, and the owner says, "Well, Howard, you're not the low bidder, but you're close enough that we want to do business with you." And right then I thought, now I can do this. I can find some success in this. And with full exposure and transparency, I was young and naive and full of energy and didn't quite realize that my father owned the business and not me. And I decided that I wanted to pursue more of the design build work than my dad did, so I left Freeman Construction Company in 1992 and started out on my own. And the first 3 months I would knock on doors and people would say, "How many buildings have you built?" And I would say, "Yours would be the first one." And they'd say, "Call us in a couple years." And I was thinking to myself, this was not a good idea to do this. And in February or March of '93, I received a phone call from a lady from Mansfield, Ohio. Her name was Betty Massa. And Betty says, "Dan, my name's Betty Massa and I'm from Mansfield and I want to build a building and I want you to build it." And I thought, great, when would you like to get together? She said, "Well, we're ready to go, so come see me as soon as you can." So the next day I went to see her, and a month later I had a contract for $1 million project. What I thought to myself was, gee, that wasn't my marketing expertise. That was just luck, because I had no idea who Betty Massa was. Fast forward, 10 months later, that project's finishing up. I'm leaving the last job meeting in Mansfield, going back to Worcester. And I'm thinking this was still not a good idea, because we only had about 2 months worth of miscellaneous work to do on small projects and nothing big coming up. And I get a call from a friend of mine, Jim Miller from Mansfield, Ohio, and Jim says, "Hey, Freeman, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I just left our last job meeting of the first project. It's finished up. I got to go back to the office and figure out what we're going to do, because I only have a couple months worth of work." He said, "Well, I just bought a business and I need a warehouse." And Jim knew that I had, with my father's business, a history of doing warehouses. I said, "Well, can I talk to you about it?" And he said, "Sure." I said, "When would you like to get together?" And he said, "Well, since you don't have anything to do, come see me now." So I literally turned the car around, went back to Mansfield, met with Jim. 2 months later, we're moving dirt on what today would be a $25 million project. So again, I feel like that was divine intervention keeping us in the construction business, and it wasn't my marketing savvy.